I feel really guilty every time I get another letter from another charity asking for yet more money, and I chuck it in the bin. I also feel frustrated thinking whether money actually makes a difference, and whether anything can be done to end this constant stream of letters asking for more and more money to deal with the world's problems. Can we ever be in a world free from hunger, free from poverty, free from people dying from HIV? I wanted to know the answer to those questions. And my search led me to a project that totally blew me away. This project is about the world striving to meet 17 goals in the next 15 years. These Sustainable Development Goals are focused on creating a world where poverty and hunger do not exist anymore, where social inclusion, economic development, and sustainability are equally valued. Importantly, these goals apply not just to the developing or the poorest nations of the world. They apply equally to all the countries. In fact, they have been agreed by 193 countries this September at the UN. So now the goals and targets are set. The question is, where will the money and resources come from? You may say, well, the governments who agreed these goals should provide it. And you'll be absolutely right in that assumption that yes, they should. But the important question is whether they can even afford it. Alongside these goals, there has been a call to developed governments to raise their annual aid budgets to 0.7% of their national income. Interestingly, this target is actually not a new one. It was first pledged at the UN 45 years ago in 1970. So we have had 45 years to meet that target. Guess how many developed countries have consistently met it? Only 5 out of 28. So getting the governments to pay for this will be very challenging. Because one, politically it has always been tough to get governments to commit to these projects. And two, the average debt of most developed nations is over 100% of the GDP. So the target is even more of a stretch right now than it was in 1970. So if the governments can't do this, and we don't want to wait another 45 years, is there anyone out there who can help? I think there is. I think there is a sector that has the knowledge, the skills, and the financial muscles to make these goals a reality. It is so successful at making our lives easier, safer, and more enjoyable, it actually earns money doing it. A lot of money. In fact, last year, it earned over $15 trillion doing exactly that. If the corporate sector steps up to the table and pledges 0.7% of its profits towards these goals, it will be over $100 billion a year. Let's put that into perspective. According to the Copenhagen Consensus, meeting 15 of the most impactful targets like providing universal primary education to sub-Saharan Africa, boosting agricultural yields, halving malarial infections, will cost around $80 billion a year. So not even 100, 80. But the benefits of meeting those goals are estimated to be over $2 trillion a year. 80 billion, 2 trillion. For the accountants in the crowd, can't see, but that's 24 times the initial investment in just 1 year, which is an incredible rate of return by any standards. There is also a myth out there that these are just numbers, and no matter how much money we throw at these goals, it doesn't matter. But it does. Let's look at these two charts. These show that mothers dying during childbirth and pregnancy and people dying from HIV was stubbornly high until 2005. And then something remarkable starts to happen. They rapidly decline. Now, if you look at the money that is being committed towards meeting these goals, you can see that there's a stunning correlation between the amount of money going in and the number of deaths coming down. I'm not saying that money is the only thing that makes a difference. In fact, in a moment, I'm going to talk about another thing that is equally important. But this clearly shows that if we get the level of money right, it makes a massive impact. The other thing that is equally important is engagement from the corporate sector, because this is a sector that employs amazingly talented people. People who are experts at solving really complex problems. Getting these people engaged in a social purpose makes them proud of their work, proud that they make a difference at the end of the day. Programs like the 10,000 Women, where women all over the world are given access to mentoring and capital to start their own businesses. The Boston Wins Project, where young people are guided towards further education and employment, show what corporates can do when they decide to engage. And these are exactly the sort of programs that need to be replicated all over the world. And let's not forget that as we make progress towards these goals, companies will share the benefits, because these goals will result in a more skilled, a more educated, and a healthier population. So this should be seen as an investment rather than aid. And all companies, from the largest corporations to the one-man bands, need to stand shoulder to shoulder with the governments and pledge 0.7% of their profits, and use the incredible organizational energy that they have to make these goals a reality. A few weeks ago, as I was preparing for this talk, I thought to myself that I can just stand here and talk about this idea, but is there anything that I can do to take it forward? So I decided to walk the talk, and I wrote a letter to the chairman of my company requesting that we publicly pledge at least 0.7% of our profits towards these goals. I did it because I thought it was important for me to ask what the contribution of my company will be towards this project. Now, I don't know where that conversation will ultimately lead to. And even though I was really nervous that day, just like as I went pressing that send button, I'm really glad that I did it. Because these goals present a golden chance for us, a chance to start a self-fulfilling, gracious cycle in which we invest in our world of today to leave a much better society for our children tomorrow. It is our chance to make a real difference. And if we are able to achieve that world, maybe, instead of those guilt-inducing letters, we must start getting ones that make us feel happy instead. Thank you.